Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Interviews. I so appreciate all of you who watch this show and listen to the stories behind the entrepreneurs. So today I'm introducing you to Karen Bowman. Karen, will you please tell us a little bit more about your business and why you started it?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Really appreciate this opportunity, Melanie. And thank you so much, viewers. So I'm on the journey of life coaching in the sense of connecting with women. That is definitely my niche market that I've realized in the last year is that I've certainly got a lot of compassion for ladies that are really going through hardships and stuff, and that have kind of lost their power, their feminine power and their feminine energy. More so, I think because of the journey that I've walked, I've come from a very male-dominated upbringing as well as working in a male-dominated industry. And last year, I had a business that I sold that I was in with my brother, and I just couldn't wait to step out of that male energy and step into a female energy. And the moment I stepped out of that and I embraced this whole female energy, I could really get stuck into the life coaching and really embrace that whole, the new chapter in my life. And that's when I decided to embark on the journey of helping like-minded women that have kind of gone through similar challenges to me. That's where I feel that I could really just add value and inspire and motivate ladies that have got a similar life to me in the sense of challenges and stuff. So that's where it's brought me to, and I'm very fortunate that I can be sitting here and saying, I'm an integrative life coach, and very happy and willing to help ladies.
That's awesome. So you're actually a serial entrepreneur because this is not your first business.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
what was the business that you had with your brother?
So I come from a long line of family businesses. So I worked, my first real chapter in my career was working with my father. And it was kind of 2 years after schooling. I did a little bit of studies, and my dad asked me if I could join his family business.
Mm.
And I kind of just started in that and worked myself up. So I was there for 16 years. And my last position was actually financial manager. And then my dad sold the business in 2006, and he went on early retirement. And I went into like a sales orientated type of business where I absolutely loved engaging with people. And then my brother came back from Australia. He'd actually immigrated many years back. And he said to me, well, you know what, let's get into the same business as what dad had, because we kind of know the recipe. And my brother and I formed a business 9 years back, or actually 10 years now. And we were importing cranes that go on the back of trucks. We imported cranes from Europe and all over the place, also from Korea and China.
Mm.
And then we also got into local manufacturing of cherry pickers, also known as aerial platforms.
Mm.
So it was a business that really grew beautifully over the 9 years. And I found myself in various roles within the business. So I started out in sales, and then by default went back into finance, and then had a little bit of a role in marketing and landed up back in sales. So I really found that working in a sales environment with a team and inspiring and mentoring people, that was definitely my strengths. And I also found that I was kind of the glue within the business, because I was like that go-to person that, when people were really down and out and they were feeling really desperate and stuff, I'd be kind of that person that would pick them up and that. And I just found that, that was really my calling, in the sense of what my characteristic was about, and helping people and nurturing them and seeing them grow. I just absolutely loved it. And seeing the lights go on and the sparkle in their eyes again when they started feeling worthy, and their confidence was picking up and stuff. So that's kind of also where I evolved into the coaching side, because before the closing of the business, I was really focusing on what I was going to do. The life coaching thing just kept on calling and calling. So that's kind of up until last year, July, when I finished and I sold the business. I got straight into my studies and qualified as actually an NLP life coach as well.
Okay. And I now understand what you mean when you say that it was a very masculine oriented business. I'm pretty
Yes,
certain that crane,
absolutely.
importing
Yeah,
crane is very much a masculine kind of an industry. So
yeah, very much.
I hear that the change was inspired because you wanted to work more in kind of a feminine role. How
Mm.
has that transition been for you?
I must admit, initially it was a little bit tough. Because you have these strong characteristics that develop over the years. So I'm also a single parent, and I got divorced about 13 years back.
Mm,
So I've got two kids, and my son is 21 and my daughter's 18. And way back then they were still quite young, so my daughter was 5 and my son was 8. And I was then working in the industry where I had to make or break, because I was the breadwinner, and to do that, I had those extra long hours. I then had to come home and step in as a mother role as well as a father role.
mm,
So in those days, it was very, very difficult to kind of just go between the two energies. So last year, stepping out of that role and coming home, there was quite a transition, period to go through, and readjusting and stuff, and also for my children, who kind of were going, "Wow, this is quite strange having mom here for like all these hours." So it wasn't only me that was adjusting; it was the children as well.
mm,
So no, it was definitely a challenge, but it was also a wonderful process, because as much as you have that masculine energy and you feel like you have to be in control all the time, and it's just deadlines and things like that, it's actually a wonderful process when you realize that you actually need to start surrendering and saying, you know what, I don't need to have this control all the time, and I can actually just breathe and just start having faith that this new process that has come into my life, I've now got to realize and say, okay, it doesn't need all that control. I can just be and just accept that this is a new space for me. And yeah, so with that letting go and that whole transition period, it actually brought in so many beautiful different things into my life that I actually never was even aware of. You kind of, when you're at that fast pace in that male dominated industry, and that you've got to just make things happen all the time, when you let go, you actually start smelling the roses again, and you actually start looking around and seeing the beauty for what it is. And just and the sad thing is also that you realize, wow, there's so many years that I've been in this tunnel of just things happening all the time, and making sure that everything is done correctly, and that perfectionist and stuff, which unfortunately is a strong characteristic of mine, is just to be perfect and stuff. Coming out of that and looking back and saying, well, you know what, things don't have to be perfect all the time, and you can actually just stop and breathe. And yeah, so it's been a really, really lovely transition. And yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, I can only encourage women to actually just stop and breathe sometimes, and just say, right, there is another side to life, instead of just that hectic flow all the time of deadlines. And yeah, I mean, it's not an easy thing to get out of, but once you're out of it and you look back, it's quite phenomenal.
mm, mm. Thank you for sharing that very personal story. I appreciate it.
Sure.
So, if anybody watching feels like they're stuck in that tunnel, what would you say to them?
So I would say to them that they must know that there are other options. And for me, it was very much, I knew that I'd put so much work into my career and my business with my brother, that I couldn't just walk out anytime within the 9-year period. So I knew that all my hard work would eventually pay off one day.
Mm,
So for me, it was just putting my head down and just knowing that the time is going to come, my day will come, where I'll reap the rewards for all the hard work and all the dedication and all the sacrifices, that my day will come. So I think for the ladies that's in a similar situation, they need to know that it's not forever, and that what you put in is what you get out. So if you're going to be focused and determined and motivated and stuff, you will reap the rewards, but also know that you can breathe at the same time. And you it's so, you can get so lost in the pace. And it's, once you've stepped out of it and you look back, hindsight is a perfect science, but you can just look back and go, wow, I could have actually have done things slightly different. And, maybe I could have juggled those balls a little bit better. And, so for ladies that are maybe really just stuck in that rut right now, maybe just take the time to just slow down your mind and really just do some self-reflection. And the thing is, it's very difficult when you're in that position to get the balance right. And that's always the major thing, is something gives, most of the time. And unfortunately for me, it was sacrificing time with my family and my two kids. It was, many times I'd say, look, kids, please just know this isn't forever. Mom's doing it to, for our future. So bear with me, but for somebody, as I said, that's stuck in it, it's communicating with your family members, getting their support, making sure you've got a good support structure, and for your family to know that it's not forever. And sometimes you really just have to put in that extra effort to get those results. But once you've worked hard to get where you're at, it just gives you other opportunities as well, So it's not all in vain, as long as you know that you've got these clear goals, because that's very, very important. If you know that this is what I want to achieve, these are the timelines, this is the work that you're prepared to put in. Once you get to those goals and you've really just achieved all of them, you get that awesome sense of achievement, and you know that you're ready to take that next step. So I really think that your support structure is really important. If you don't have a great support structure, then you've always got the likes of life coaches and mentors and stuff who can be your accountability partner, and that can assist you, whether it's not being able to handle stress, and setting goals, and giving you assisting you with creating boundaries. Because I did find in the corporate world and working with family and stuff, boundaries was a huge thing. It's being able to set clear boundaries and actually standing by it, and being assertive about it and stuff. So I think also for ladies that's in that position where they just kind of feel that they're running and they've got the sinking sand underneath them and stuff, boundaries is a very, very good thing to make sure that you put that in place, because then people also start respecting the fact that you honor yourself, you respect yourself, and you're quite certain of where you're going to go, and people need to know that they've got to be part of that plan. And so yeah, for me, the boundaries thing is it's quite a tricky thing to start initiating if you've never really been able to do it. And that also comes with self-confidence, so the more confident you are, the more you are really aware and focused of exactly where you're going to go, then not much will get into the way. So you just push on and stuff. But yeah, it can be daunting. And that's where for myself, a couple of years back, I thought, you know what, I had a good support structure, but there was just something that was missing in me, and I just needed a little bit of guidance and stuff. And that's where I actually came across my life coach for the first time, and hence the reason also why I chose that as a career line for me, because I saw how phenomenal it was just going to a life coach and having that accountability partner. Because it's one thing to sit down and set your goals and break them down into different months and years and stuff. That's one thing, and it's good to do. But if you've got somebody that you've shared it with, and you really, you feel like you've become accountable to that person as well as yourself, and as much as you don't want to let yourself down, you also don't want to let that person down. So it kind of gives you a little bit more motivation and stuff. So I think that's kind of what got me back on track, and also just building my self-confidence and saying, you know what, you can do it. And also just your self-worth and self-love, because those also take a bit of a beating when you're in one of those hard situations, or even in, depending on your environment and you know, what kind of people or what kind of organization that you work in and stuff. Those kind of characteristics can take a bit of a knock. So yeah, for me, my survival mechanism was actually going to see a life coach, and yeah, she just kind of got me back on track. And from then onwards, I actually just started filling up my little toolbox of all these different tools that I could use, you know, my coping mechanisms, and you know, like little affirmations and stuff, and that kind of kept me on the straight and narrow. And yeah, for me, that was the best thing that I could have done when I really felt I couldn't cope, is going to see my mentor and stuff. So if I could recommend that to anybody, it's if they just feel they're not able to cope, it would be a wonderful choice.
I love the words you use, accountability partner. Somebody asked me today, what do you need a coach for? And I said to her, well, I can't just come home and dump everything on my partner and expect him to cope with it. It's sometimes a lot to dump on your friends.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
absolutely.
it helps to have somebody in your life whose job it is.
Yes,
to
100%.
To hold you accountable.
Yeah, and also I think the beauty of that is that it's somebody that doesn't really know you in the sense of your backgrounds and stuff. You know that you're not going to be judged. It's a safe environment. You can share things knowing that you're not going to be judged, and you know that the accountability partner is there to support you, you know. And exactly like you say, you know, you don't want to feel like you're burdening people that you know, because life it's difficult for everybody. So 100%, you don't want to be offloading on family members and stuff. So yeah, I think for me also that, you know, having that session, knowing that whatever you've been through in the last week or 2 weeks or a month, you can really just share and just offload and kind of just get it off your chest and get some guidance and feedback. You know, what am I doing wrong? You know, how could I do things differently? You know, yeah, it's great. And you don't feel guilty that you're burdening this person, because as you say, that is their job, and that's what they're there for, is to hear you out and to listen out for little red flags. You know, the stuff that you're sharing with them, is it coming from things like that you've got these limiting beliefs about yourself? You know, is it self-sabotaging behavior that you're not even aware that you're doing? So, you know, it's talking to somebody that's got the ear for it and that's trained to pick these things up, that they can then, you know, share tools and stuff and do assignments and certain things, that you can start uncovering these little gremlins that are sitting inside, and start facing them and really just dealing with them, and knowing that you then start becoming aware of your thoughts, and you can start creating these new thought patterns and start changing them, you know. So yeah, accountability partners are really, really fantastic. Definitely. Yeah.
So for people who are watching who don't know anything about NLP, can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so NLP it's neuro-linguistic programming. So it's a form of life coaching. So it's really all about language. So it's the use of language when you're talking to people, the way you're communicating. You know, you've got 3 different modalities. So you've got your visual type of people, you've got the kinesthetic, and you've got the auditory. So, you know, it's very much about how you're communicating with people and picking up what their strengths are with regards to how they communicate. It's creating rapport with people. So it's a type of life coaching. So you get really quite a lot of different types of life coaching. And with NLP, there's various tools that you can use that also help with shifting a lot of things with regards to phobias and fears and things. So NLP has got some really, really strong techniques that work around those kind of issues. So even though I'm qualified through with the NLP coaching, it's not something that I really push from a coaching point of view. I have done 3 other types of life coaching. So for me, there was a huge value in learning about NLP, but the techniques used in NLP didn't resonate with me 100%. So with my type of coaching, it's not NLP based 100%. I use certain techniques, but I wouldn't say that I'm a full-blown NLP practitioner because it wasn't really resonating with me. So I've got my own techniques that through my other various studies that really honed in on me, and you've got to feel comfortable with them. Not every single life coach resonates with certain, like you've got, it's really got to feel natural for when you use those techniques and stuff. So for me, I kind of just the coaching that I studied, I kind of just picked out the certain things that really worked for me, and that's what I use with my clients.
Okay. So if somebody out there is looking for a coach, you've mentioned that there are lots of different kinds of coaches. How do you recommend they go looking for a coach that will work for them?
So, you've got your different types of coaching in the sense that, you've got, so you would have like marriage, like relationship type of coaching. So if it's really like, you get a lot of requests that there's people that only want to work on relationships. So you would get coaches that would be a life coach, but they've really just honed in on the skills to assist people with relationships. You then get like weight loss coaches who would really only focus on weight loss or wellness and nutrition. Then you would get career coaching. So it would be a coach that's really honed in on career and like guiding people on careers and stuff, career decisions and transitions and stuff like that. Then you would get business coaches. So those are people that have maybe got like a team within their business that they want to get a coach in to mentor and to motivate and inspire a team. So that would kind of be like a business type coach. You could also get high-end business coaches that come in and actually coach the executives of the company. So you would get that. You would then get coaches that are like, people that are really battling, to be mindful and to try and change the way they think and stuff. So you get like mindset coaches. So there's really a whole array of different types of coaches. So, but the thing is, generally you can cover, general life coaches can cover quite an array of them. But if you get a specific client that only wants to focus on weight loss or things like that, then I would definitely say, look, I would direct you to, somebody that maybe specializes in weight loss or business coaching or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So who are your ideal customers, Karen?
Okay, so for me, my ideal customers would be high-powered, ambitious women that really want to go places, that's kind of feeling stuck, that's maybe, battling in the motivation department, they kind of battling to see direction and focus. They maybe need to be inspired. They're perhaps battling with where they are right now and they feel stuck and they're looking at possibly changing careers, but they're not quite sure which way or how to take that on. It would be women that's really battling with low self-esteem, low self-confidence, possibly self-sabotaging behavior that they're even aware of. So it's quite an array of, even like dealing with pressure, communication skills, how to be more assertive, time management. I think it's very much along the lines of a woman that's quite heavily involved in their career, possibly single moms that's battling to do the whole juggling process. a woman that's going through breakups or divorces, that's really battling with the transition. So it's kind of things, to be honest with you, that I've personally experienced, and I feel that because I've personally experienced those kind of things, I'm only too happy to assist them because I've walked that road. And for me, it's very, very important that if I'm going to be mentoring a person or being there for them and their accountability partner, I've got to have been there because I really want them to be able to, or both of us to relate to each other so that I can share my experiences and that they know that they're in good hands because I have been through there, I have felt that pain, and I've come out on the other side. So for me, that's really, really important.
It sounds like you've got a lot of work to do out there because I know a lot of people are struggling with those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you finding that a lot of people in this group are struggling right now with COVID-19 because they're becoming more aware of the tunnel that they're in and suddenly having to look at things harder?
Yeah, absolutely. And funnily enough, there's a lot of people that are realizing now that they're in careers that they don't even enjoy anymore. So it's been quite an open mind, like an eye opener for them, where they're going, you know what, I've been doing this job for so many years, and all of a sudden I'm finding that it's just not doing it for me anymore. There's no more job satisfaction, even though they've still got a job. They're kind of finding that they're just not fitting in there. It's been a really, really common thread amongst a lot of the ladies that I've been dealing with. So yeah, most certainly a lot of uncertainty, not sure what's going to happen. Are they still going to have their jobs? And a lot of relationship problems as well. And I think, this whole COVID thing has also brought a lot of things to a head. And it's been such different surroundings and in the sense of a whole family being in a house all the time. So certain things have come out of that, and it's people realizing that maybe their relationship is just no longer working, and they're unsure, and they just want to kind of, for me to be the soundboard and to say, how does this sound? And then we dig deeper and we see, what are these underlying issues that are now starting to come up. So it's actually, it's career things, it's relationships that are starting to not be so strong anymore. That seems to be the common thread. And obviously a lot of fear. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of fear going on. Uncertainties, yeah.
What do you enjoy most about your new job?
Oh, where do I start? I think it's just to see, from the initial meeting and how closed and fearful the person is and so vulnerable, and to actually just see them like blossoming, it's from one session to the next, and you see how they progress and how they've absolutely just totally taken on to the process, and they are fully committed, and just seeing them just improve in leaps and bounds. It's, for me, it is absolutely soul fulfilling. So yeah, I get so excited every time I've got to see the client from one session to the next, because it's just beautiful to see the transformation. And for people that are holding back when they like so fear-based, and then all of a sudden you can see that they finally start surrendering to the process, and they start letting go, and they start having faith, and you see the lights going on in their eyes, and you can see the life coming back into them. Oh man, it's so difficult to put words to it. It's amazing. It's really yeah, it's really amazing.
It sounds like it turns your lights on a lot
It
more
does.
than imported cranes did.
Oh boy, you're so right. Absolutely. That was a soul destroying career, in the sense of, the job satisfaction for this is, it's just truly it's an amazing journey, really, just to and the thing is, I've just met such incredible people, and as much as I'm there for them, wow, the amount of learning that I'm getting from them is just phenomenal. every single session, I'm just so grateful. And I'm just like, wow, thank you. You don't even realize the shifts that they're creating within me. It's phenomenal. So yeah, I love that. It's a journey for both me as well as my clients.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So if anybody is wanting to get hold of you online, Karen, where can they find you?
So they can find me on Facebook. They could find me on my Facebook page, which is called Freedom at Last. So they can get onto my Facebook page. I'm also on LinkedIn, also under Freedom at Last. If they battle, they could just find me on Karen Bowman, and there's a lot of information on there with regards to Freedom at Last. So yeah, just while we're actually on that, Freedom at Last is, some people give me funny looks when I say what my coaching practice is called, but it was literally when I sold my business last year, I literally felt freedom at last. so, so hence the reason why that name, I just could not, I could not call my coaching practice anything other than freedom at last. So it's got a little bit.
I love that. I love that. And for people who are watching, that's freedom at the at symbol
At, yeah,
last,
that's it.
not
That's it.
written
Yeah,
out in letters.
yeah. I've also got an Instagram page,
Mm,
Freedom at Last,
okay.
101. So they could connect with me on that as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing your inspiring story with us today. I appreciate it so much.
No, thank you, Melanie. Geez, yeah, I really appreciate this opportunity, and yeah, it's been wonderful.
It's a
Many
huge
thanks.
pleasure.